There's a lot of history that goes into making that simple paper airplane fly. Airplanes have greatly enhanced over the past century, and many engineers and scientists have dedicated their entire lives to creating and enhancing airplanes. To start, I'll be talking about the events leading to the creation of the airplane. I'll go over some human-made achievements. I'll talk about how war advanced the functionality of airplanes, and also modern jet airplanes. The first modern designs were invented by Sir George Cayley according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. In 1799, he designed the first fixed-wing aircraft, and in 1804, he flew the first successful model glider. And of course, the famous Wright brothers had their first successful fixed-wing aircraft flight. They originally flew a glider in 1902. They installed an engine, and later in 1903, they performed the first 12-second flight. And that's about the beginning of the creation of the airplane. And human nature makes us all curious and want to push ourselves beyond our boundaries, creating more advanced airplanes and performing daring acts of bravery. And in the first aircraft carrier landing was performed by Eugene Ely, who was a pilot for Curtiss Aviation Company, and on January 18th, 1911. That was according to the Air and Space magazine. And one of the most famous achievements performed by a human is Charles Lindbergh, who performed the solo transatlantic nonstop flight from New York to Paris in May 21st, 1927, as talked about in the New York Times. But not only civilian use has advanced aircraft, but the military has increased the technology and performance of all aircraft. And in World War I, planes were used for mostly reconnaissance and scouting roles. They didn't have a lot of armament, but they did have some machine guns, even though they were only effective at about 200 meters. But the bringing of World War II brought a lot of advancements in airplanes. Engineers upgraded the structure and the integrity of the aircraft. They upgraded the engines, performed them to go faster and in longer distances. They increased the maneuverability, and they also increased the weaponry. During both World Wars, engineers vastly improved the aircraft and developed jet engines, which I'll talk about now. The first jet engine was designed by German aircraft designer Ernst Heinkel, and that was in 1936 is when he started to design the first jet aircraft. And in 1939, he successfully piloted and test flew the jet engine. And after the war, countries could share their technology and further enhance aircrafts. And coming into modern airplanes, aircraft have been thoroughly enhanced over the past few decades, becoming more safer and more efficient. And engineers have created more powerful, more efficient jet engines, and they can use lighter and more durable material, and not only the engine itself, but also for the full body. So I talked about how and why the first airplane was created and the early motivations for that. Talked about early achievements performed by humans just to test themselves and see how far they could push themselves. Talked about how war has affected not only military use, but also civilian use for the airplane, and the modern jet engines and the aircraft have been immensely enhanced since creation. And as Orville Wright has said, if we worked on the assumption that what is accepted as true really is true, then there would be little hope for advance.